Hello everyone, I'm Suraj, and the topic of this talk is Majorana fermions in a 1D wire. So let us start. This is the overview of this talk, and these are the topics I'll talk about today. So fermions. What are fermions? Basically, fermions are elementary particles having half integer spins. They are they are the solutions of this Dirac equation, and they follow the Fermi-Dirac statistics. Basically, electron is a fermion, and one thing that we should note here is that these transform under unitary transformations which are complex. Basically, this is a complex vector. It is called a spinner. Psi is complex, and when it transforms under any transformations like Lorentz transformation or let's say time translations, this transforms as a complex vector, and the transformation matrices are also complex. So, what if you want to try and get a real spinner? Let's say if you want to talk about a real spinner, you know how we can break a complex number into two real parts. Similarly, here we can try to break this complex spinner psi into two real parts. But then again, the problem would be that when we transform it under some properties like Lorentz boost or let's say under time translations, then this psi would again become complex if you try to write it even as a real. So what we do is we change these gamma matrices and in a way that like this. So what we do this, we write gamma matrices as gamma. You can see this is how we are writing these gamma matrices. The point is that these sigma 2 matrices, these are complex, and sigma 3 and sigma 1 are sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3 are poly matrices, and sigma 3 and sigma 1 are real matrices that you will know, and sigma 2 is complex matrices. So when we write it as a unitary uh, operator as exponent of I into gamma 1, gamma 2, or gamma 3, let's say, then the whole exponent or the whole operator becomes real. So basically, this when these acts on real spinner, the spinner stays real. And so basically, these are Majorana fermions. Next, some properties of these Majorana fermions are, these are, of course, the first one is that these are real. Second one is that these are charge neutral. Let's say since we have these as real, so psi would be equal to psi dagger. So under charge conjugation, the the sign of charge should not change. Otherwise, it would. Otherwise, what would happen is that the total charge would not be conserved. So these have to be charge neutral. These Majorana fermions. And another thing we should notice that these are exactly half the degrees of freedom of a Dirac fermion. So next we'll talk about the superconductivity. This is the BCS Hamiltonian that we all know. Epsilon here is chemical potential. This is the number operator, and the second part of this Hamiltonian. This is a quartic Hamiltonian to the power a to a's to the power 4. These a's are Dirac operators basically. These fermion operators, and the second part of this, the interaction part, you can see that uh, the the daggers part, it creates Cooper pairs, and the second part, it destroys the Cooper pair. And basically this is the interaction part of this Hamiltonian, and the first one is the free part of this Hamiltonian. uh, this basically uh, this is basically a superconducting system, and we have the solution of this is the psi BCS, which is the superconducting ground state. And next we have this Hamiltonian can be diagonalized using mean field decoupling and Bogoliubov transformations. What mean field decoupling does is it it breaks this power 4 interaction term into power 2 interaction terms, and basically then we can substitute these gamma operators. These are called Bogoliubov operators, Bogoliubov transformations. And basically when we substitute it in the above Hamiltonian, the Hamiltonian becomes this. So you can see this is very nice. This is a very nice Hamiltonian which is diagonalized. And what you should notice here is that these gamma operators contains both electron and hole part. These A and A daggers, you can see that these contain both electron and hole part. So these are in a way superposition of both electrons and holes. So let us say that we want to write these gammas at Majorana fermions. then what we would need is that we would need gamma equal to gamma dagger. That would require us to write u's and v's that would require that u and v are same. Basically that means that equal contribution from electron and hole part. And one more thing that we would need is we would need uh, these these spin indices to be removed basically. So otherwise this would gamma would not be equal to gamma dagger if you want to uh, write a Majorana fermion in terms of this gamma operator. So basically what I'm talking about is this. Uh, these gamma operators, you can see A and A dagger and A, both of these have the same spin indices here. So this is what we needed. For this, for the spin to disappear from this equation, we need to have our superconductor in a spin triplet state, not in a spin singlet state. So basically, that's why we need a p-wave superconductor to introduce this Majorana fermions. So next, one more thing that we need this superconductor for is because we need this energy gap. So what this energy gap would do is that uh, uh, basically first I should explain what this energy gap is. This energy gap is you can see this is what is the form of this energy gap here. Delta zero is for spin singlet pairing. That is there should be a bracket around this delta zero. So delta zero is for spin singlet pairing. That means mm, we can write when let's say we are in a S wave superconductor or a D wave superconductor, then this decay part is zero. Otherwise, let's say if we are in a P wave superconductor, then delta zero part is zero, and then we have delta is uh, then this D you see uh, this is basically for D of K is for spin triplet pairing in that case. And why what this superconducting energy gap does is this provides a gap for our Majorana fermions to stay. Basically, what that means is that the Majorana fermions that we would get, and those Majorana fermions would be in this energy gap, and there would be no basically there would be no basic states around our Majorana fermionic states, and so this would be topologically protected from any kind of let's say decoherence. So we can later use this for some specific purposes. And, so basically, uh, this energy gap basically provides a protection from decoherence to our Majorana states, and these Majorana states are then uh, they stay as coherent states and can be later used for quantum memory or for quantum computation. Next, we define Majorana zero modes. So, what is basically the difference between Majorana fermions and Majorana zero modes is that Majorana zero modes. These commute with the Hamiltonian operator. Basically, these are like the uh, so the so these are like free energy states. That means it wouldn't take any energy to create or destroy these Majorana zero mode states, and but this would be for let's say we have created these Majorana states, but this would be equal to zero only for an ideal case. But for a physical system, let's say these would be exponentially decaying. And what x here is that x is a separation between two Majorana states. Let's say these are two interacting Majorana states, and the x is the distance between these two Majorana states. And uh, chi here is this is basically the coherence length of a superconductor. So what we need to do is to use these Majorana states, we need to localize them at a particular point far away from each other. Uh, yes, so that's what we need, and this is exactly what we do later. And now we come to our model. This is a rather unrealistic model, but it helps to understand how these Majorana modes are formed in a superconductor or how these can be realized later in a physical system. So let's say we have a 1D wire uh, with a lot. with large number of fermionic operators and fermions localized at particular points. This 1D wire is lying on a p wave superconductor because we need p wave superconductor for Majorana fermions as we discussed earlier. So this wire is lying at a p wave superconductor, and this is the Hamiltonian for this wire. And you can see W here is the hopping amplitude, and this term is just the interaction between the two neighboring states. This is its Hermitian conjugate, uh, and epsilon here again is the chemical potential, and this is just the number operator. We have delta here is the superconducting energy gap. This would be for a p wave superconductor, and this other term is just the Hermitian conjugate of this term. So we are basically going to solve this Hamiltonian for two special cases now and see how these Majorana modes can come on the edges of this 1D wire that we have on a superconductor now. So first we go for a trivial case where we have delta, let's say, equal to 0, W equal to 0, and epsilon is less than 0. So what happens is that this last two terms become 0 and this first two terms become 0 here. So all we are left with is minus epsilon, and since epsilon is negative here, so this is what we end up with. And you can see what happens here is that our Hamiltonian, when we write it as Majorana operators, in terms of Majorana operators, these are basically the real parts of these two AJs. Here C2J would be A1 AJ plus AJ1. Uh, here this would be here this would be this C of 2j minus 1 would be, let's say, this would be AJ plus AJ dagger by 2, and C of 2j would be AJ minus AJ dagger by I. Basically these two are the real parts of these complex operators C and C2j minus 1 and C2j. And what is evident from here is you can see that the Majorana operators that are paired together are the operators from the same site. So you can see this is how these are paired, and these this one pairing creates one fermion, this another pairing creates another fermion. So that is, we had two times the Majorana fermions are twice the number of the fermions here. Majorana, these are Majorana zero modes, not Majorana operators, sorry. And next again we have for case 2, what let's say that delta is equal to W more than 0 and epsilon is equal to 0. So what happens in this case is our Hamiltonian becomes this. This is an interesting case because what you can see here that the Majorana operators which are paired are from the neighboring sites, and these two C1 and C2L, they remain they stay unpaired. So these are like the Majorana operators localized at very far away from each other. This the length of this wire is L, that can be very large if you want. And so basically you have these two Majorana operators which are localized and are far away from each other. And when let's say we create a fermion by pairing these two Majoranas together, uh, that fermion, yes. So these, yes. So one thing is that you can see that here in this Hamiltonian, these two operators do not appear, C1 and C2L. So what that means is that we can create or destroy them at any point in uh, and there would be two degenerate ground states. One with where C1 and C2L are paired and are present. Basically, the number operator would be uh, there would be n number of fermions in one, and there would be n minus one number of fermions in the other. Because in one these two would be paired, and in the other these two would not be there. So these two states will be degenerate, and these can you can see like they can act as qubits here. Next. Uh, so now this is all. Basically, we have so what you see these Majorana fermions, these can get paired. Okay, now comments and summary. So these are the points that you need to. These are the takeaway points from this talk. First one is that Majorana fermions are just a real part of a Dirac fermion, let's say. So, and the second thing is that Majorana fermions are different from Majorana zero modes are different from Majorana fermions in the sense that they commute with Hamiltonian of the particular system. So this is the difference that we have in these two things. And next is we need a superconductor for the energy gap. Yes. Uh, why we because we want these Majorana fermions to be topologically protected from any kind of decoherence so that uh, they can basically have our quantum memory can stay for long there, and there would be no decoherence there. Basically there can be no perturbations because there is a large difference between these, the energy of these operators. These are at zero energy, and the basically what I'm saying is that you see our Majorana operators would be here just at the Fermi energy, and just above the Fermi energy at zero energy, and there would be a large gap between any other states and these states. Yes, P-wave superconductor we choose for spin triplet property because otherwise we couldn't explain the Majorana fermions. These Broglie bonds basically become Majorana fermions when we are in a spin triplet state. And one another point which I haven't talked about much in this talk is that these Majorana fermions are follow non-abelian statistics. Basically, we know bosons follow Bose statistics, and fermions follow fermion Dirac fermi statistics. But these Majorana fermions, these have these they get a phase after a certain. So these are non-abelian anions. They don't follow any of these properties, and these. Thank you for your time.